is there too much pressure on college athletes? Are news sites such as Flow Wrestling, such as Fanco Wrestling, which isn't necessarily a news site, but uh, such as the Open Mat, such as Intermat, are news sites and newspapers, are they putting too much pressure on college athletes? And this story isn't necessarily stemming from anything particular that's come out in the news, but more the fact that it's been something on my mind that I wanted to talk to you about. I've seen a lot of comments from on Flow Wrestling, on different sites, after the World Championships, after Team USA didn't win the or the World Championships, saying Flow was kind of maybe too in the face of these athletes with all these interviews, and saying that it put too much pressure on these athletes. And I think that holds some merit. I think that some sites tend to be a little negative also towards guys and putting other guys up on a podium, putting certain guys up on a podium, tearing down other people. And that's why here at Fanco Wrestling, one of the biggest things to me as the creator is keeping this brand positive towards these athletes, because as we're going to get to in a little bit, these guys they're college athletes. And of course, the guys on the world level are more seen as pro. However, it's upsetting to me whenever there's too much negativity, whether it's in YouTube comments from fans. I think that's, it's upsetting that people do that, but I think that's just online internet trolls, which is a shame, but it happens. As far as news sites, I think they should always be kind of keeping it positive about these guys, because they are, young men and women. Now, one thing that I want to share is the Gavin Teasdale story. The Gavin Teasdale story, of course, if you haven't heard, and I'm sharing this only because he shared it on the PA Power Wrestling podcast. Make sure you check out PA Power Wrestling. Phenomenal news site. But he went on the PA Power Wrestling podcast a couple of months ago and discussed his transfer from Penn State to Iowa. He's kind of said in his senior year of high school into his freshman year of college, he started getting into a bad lifestyle. Maybe some parties, some drugs, some minor drugs, things like that. Just a different lifestyle. I don't know all he did. Don't need to know all I did. I don't like the rumor mill, but that's what he had said in this podcast. And I think a lot of that probably came from the pressure that he had on his life from a lot of these news sites. Teasdale, and of course I can say this because he's from the Whippeal, back where I'm from. I literally saw these newspapers with his Teasdale in the headlines. And then you see, it's great when it's all positive, when he's winning state titles. But then what happens whenever he does something wrong? Of course, the headlines, state champ transfers out of Penn State. Teasdale out of Penn State. What's wrong? What's going on? And to me, for a young athlete and for a young man to see that, he's an 18-year-old kid, to see that, it's upsetting to me, and I'm not even the one going through that situation. These are 18 to 22-year-old college athletes. Now, the reason that I kind of get into this too is when I first started Fanco Wrestling, it's very exciting to talk about all these wrestlers, and I didn't know all these guys. Still don't know all of them, but I don't think there's a lot of negativity at all. But there were a couple things here and there, and then once I got to the national tournament, I think one of the biggest guys who takes a lot of hits, okay, is Austin DeSanto. Whether you like him or not, I think he takes a lot of hits, and there's a lot of pressure on him as an athlete, as a human, and once I was at the national tournament, I was on the floor, actually. I was watching his match, watching him warm up. And it for some reason, that hit me then. Listen, he's an 18-year-old, or not 18, he's older than 18, but he's a young kid, a college kid. When he's not here, he's going to class, he's studying, he's going to practices multiple times during the week, multiple times a day. He has some sort of social life, whatever that may be, and he's competing on a national level. And there are people on the internet who just want to come out here and attack him for whatever reason. And yes, he has a boisterous personality. Understandable, okay? But to straight up attack an athlete straight up bring them down, to me, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it in the comments of any videos, and it's important to me to keep things positive. So that's kind of me up on my soapbox talking about this topic. Please, I want to hear what you have to say about this. Do you think that there's too much pressure on college athletes? I think that it's better to bring them up and keep things more positive than to keep tearing them down. So let's stop tearing them down and keep those conversations positive.